This is Marty Meyer. Well, grab your Bible and your journal, and let's look at today. What is our big why? Why do we do what we do? Today in Mark chapter 2, verses 13 to 17, we're going to read a story, and we're going to find out Jesus's big why. His primary purpose, the thing that's most important to Jesus. And in so discovering Jesus's big why, we're going to find out our big why too. So as we begin this story in Mark chapter 2, verses 13 to 17, we see Jesus walking along and he calls someone to be his disciple. His name's Levi or Matthew. Maybe an unusual pick for Jesus to choose Levi to be his disciple. Well, he's a tax collector. The people in his culture saw the tax collectors as traitors. And here's Jesus calling a traitor to be his disciple. Almost doesn't make sense. And here the next thing we see is Jesus is in the home of Matthew. Matthew is basically throwing a party because everyone shows up and they're there, and Jesus is there eating with not only Matthew and his tax collector friends, but also other sinners. Now, when the Bible is using this term here, it's not just referring to this idea that we're all general sinners. No, it's talking about these people they've royally messed up their lives. I mean, they're recognized as sinners. Well, it's pretty easy to see, well, this person's a tax collector, but this person is known to be a sinner. This person's an adulterer, a thief, a liar, or worse. These are the kind of people that religious people think that they can protect themselves or make themselves righteous by somehow insulating themselves against the world, against these type of people. So let's not associate with this particular type of person. That's what the religious leaders were saying. And Jesus completely breaks that paradigm. In fact, he's saying, this is why I came. Some of the religious leaders look at what's going on here and they go to the disciples and why does this Jesus, why does he associate with these people? They're people that have been rejected. They're outcasts. Why would your leader, your rabbi, why would he associate himself with these people? And Jesus hears what they're saying and he confronts their hearts. And he says, it's not the healthy who need a doctor. No, it's the sick. And that's why I have come. Jesus said, I'm not come to call the righteous, but to call sinners. Here, Jesus is stating his big why very clearly. And everything in his through line aligns with his big why. He's very clear about what he is called to do, his primary purpose, and he says it's this: for I have come to bring the cure to sinners. Jesus is particularly moved by those who know it. They know they've messed up their lives. In essence, Jesus is saying, hey, I've come for you. I've come to seek and to save that which is lost. I'm willing to meet you right where you are. I'm willing to even enter in to your point of need. This is why I've come. I've come to seek and save the lost. I've come to give my life as a ransom for many. And Jesus not only brings forgiveness, he brings healing. He brings restoration. He brings the cure. And he brings it at a great cost. He's willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish his big why, because this is the reason why he came. And I want to tell you something. When you and I find our big why in the purpose of Jesus, our lives too have significance and meaning and value because they're aligning with Jesus's big why. You know, I was reminded of a while back, about almost a year ago, I was at church and This man came in, sat in the very back row, and we had the greeting time. We all got up and greeted one another, and I turned around and I was sitting close to the back, and I said, "Hey, how can I pray for you? What's your name?" He says, "My name's James." And when I said, "How can I pray for you personally, James?" And I looked into his eyes, and he just broke down. He says, "I am so lost." And he just crumpled into my arms, and he began to weep. We sat down because the greeting time was over, and for the entire rest of the service I sat next to James, and he just leaned up against me and he just wept. And he said, "Oh, I'm in such need. I've messed up my life." You know, that started a relationship with my friend James, and he comes up to me when he sees me in the post office or at the gas station. He says, "I've been sober for 4 months. I've been sober for 9 months. My life has been turned around by Jesus." Here's someone that was lost, and he knew it. And Jesus came and he brought about the rescue. He brought about transformation in my friend's life. And he's basically saying, "I've come for you. I'll do the exact same thing for you." In my book, in Mission Accomplished, in chapter 4, it's called a Top Priority is the name of this chapter. And in chapter 4, I talk about mission true and mission drift. And mission drift occurs when we lose sight of our big why, the big why of Jesus. And mission true is when we keep that big why in focus. And I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just pay a small amount for shipping. You can go to missionaccomplishedbook.net, and there you can get a free copy of that just for paying shipping. But I want us to discover how we also can align our lives with the mission of Jesus and discover our big why by knowing Him.